What happened in qualifying for the US Grand Prix? Let's get into Q1 then, shall we? And chat about the 5 drivers that didn't make it through. Hulkenberg, Alonso, Albon, Stroll and Sargent. And the big talking point, of course, has to be what on earth is going on at Aston Martin? And that comes in from DRS F1 Podcast. Yeah. They have really fallen from grace to a point in which I don't think we expected them to both be out in Q1. I think Lance Stroll, we've been memeing about him, we've been joking. He also didn't manage to do any running really in FP1, so we thought that was on the cards. But Fernando Alonso, the man who has not been knocked out in Q1 or Q2 the entire season, because he has had a Q3 streak for as long as we can remember, gets knocked out and 17th on the grid.
It's shocking, isn't it? The fact that, Stroll, we kind of expect it now. He's not made it into Q2 since before the summer break. But Alonso being it as well, you kind of know that the Aston has really gone downhill. He couldn't carry it any further. Not make it into Q3 to be out in Q1 is a big old shock. Makes you wonder with Aston Martin that they've had all the people that they've brought over from different teams, but they can't seem to develop the car in the right direction. They came out the blocks firing, but boy, they're not developing very well at all.
That being said, the gaps we saw in Q1 and throughout qualifying really were just incredibly close. There were a couple of tenths separating 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drivers. It was mental. So it's not as if Aston Martin are so far off the back of the field that you're wondering, have they got 3 wheels on the car? It was a tenth or 2 here or there. I wonder if Fernando Alonso even delivered to the level in which he normally can and does, because putting 3 tenths on Stroll, I feel like Alonso's got a bit more in the tank than that.
What we've seen. Tenths?
Exactly. What we've seen previously is that Alonso has been absolutely wiping the floor with Stroll, especially with the fact, as I said, that Lance didn't have much practice either. The other drivers, Hulkenberg, oh my God, we were gassing him up so hard. We were on the Twitch watch along. He went fastest and we were like, oh my God, the Haas upgrade, this one massive upgrade that they've hyped up for the whole year. They're bringing it to Austin and we're thinking, oh my God, Nico Hulkenberg's going to get pole. Maybe not. But we thought, wow, okay, they might make Q3. And Hulkenberg's out in Q1.
Yeah, putting stars and stripes on the livery, we thought, wow, Haas are now going to be the absolute goats. But I can't believe, and this goes back to what you said about Alonso, Hulkenberg being fastest in the session in the first kind of runs and stuff, and then not even making it out the session. That midfield pack is unbelievable. The field is only separated by about a second. You can make a mistake and lose a couple of tenths in one corner, and suddenly you go from about 5th to 16th. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, it is. It means you have to deliver right there and then. There were a few drivers that were very close to being knocked out. Danny Rick was one of them. And George Russell, who's just been looking like on the back foot for most of the weekend, it has to be said. And then obviously the 2 Williams. I was surprised to see Albon out in Q1, to be fair. He still put half a second on Sargent. But Williams, they still seem to have this philosophy of some weeks we're great. Some weeks we are absolute trash. It doesn't seem to be kind of a happy medium for Williams, although I feel like they've added more to their good race list. But yeah, it was one of those weekends where, oh no, Williams are slowest again. What's happened here?
The rest of the grid, apart from Red Bull this season, it has changed like so much all the time. It's crazy.
Let's go to Q2 now then, shall we? And talk about the drivers that went out in this one. Tsunoda, Zhou, Bottas, Magnussen and Ricciardo. The big talking points, not massive amount, to be honest with you. Daniel Ricciardo, of course, I'm sure a lot of us were willing for him to do quite well this weekend, but Yuki put 3 tenths on him. Danny starting 15th. K-Mag out-qualifying Hulkenberg, which I don't think any of us had on our sort of predictions list. I don't think we really spoke about Haas, to be fair, in our predictions, but I'm sure not a lot of people thought K-Mag would outperform Hulkenberg. And then the 2 Alfa Romeos, not far off. Like, they're doing okay. So 12th and 13th, Zhou Guanyu just about out-qualifying Bottas, but I don't think there was a huge amount of talking points in Q2, apart from the fact it was just really close again.
It was a little skewed because Perez didn't do his second run, but Tsunoda was only 0.01 off knocking Perez out, but Perez didn't do that second run, so it didn't matter too much in the end. But Yuki slotting into his favourite P11, which just feels like it's happening all the time in 2023. And Ricciardo, coming back. Fair bit slower than Tsunoda, but not a million miles off.
Let's talk about Q3 then, shall we? And, well, let me just read out the order. I know I don't usually, but I feel like I need to. Charles Leclerc on pole position. Ahead of Lando Norris, Lewis Hamilton, Carlos Sainz, George Russell, Max Verstappen, Pierre Gasly, Esteban Ocon, Sergio Perez, and Oscar Piastri.
Max has bowled it. It's on. It's definitely
Charles Leclerc
on.
pole's on. Charles Leclerc pole is on. Oh, 2/10
Oh
up.
my God.
Charles Leclerc's 2/10 up. Charles Leclerc's 2/10 up. It's 11 o'clock at night, but my neighbours are about to hate me if Charles Leclerc pops in a 34.6. Come on, Charles. Oh my God, get out the way, car. You. That's wide. That's really wide. That's the worst second to last corner I've ever seen. Oh God, the dream's dead. Oh God, he's not even going to improve, is he? Oh God, he does. Come on, Charles. Oh, off the track.
Oh.
That's off the track. That's got to be off the track. It's done. It's finished. Max is washed. Oh God, he's gone fastest. Please
5,000th.
Please God, have been off the track. Please. Oh my God, qualifying in 2023 is the greatest thing you've ever seen since sliced bread. Hamilton! Is Hamilton going to get pole or is he going to be Charles? It's Charles! First question comes in from Seaman Orhan 5. If we had 23 sprint weekends, Charles would surely be champion, right? Well, I mean,
It'd get a lot of poles.
It is so, yeah. I mean, I genuinely think that maybe Ferrari just come out the blocks a bit quicker, just in general, in the sense of maybe the setting up of their car or whatever. You know, they accept that they have horrendous tyre wear and they're just quick. That's all they really have with their package. Whereas maybe some other teams take a little bit more time to dial in. It doesn't make much sense for me personally, but I'm happy for it to be 23 sprint weekends if it means Charles Leclerc world champion. And I also said as well, I don't really like his green helmet this weekend. I say I don't really like it. I almost despise it. But if it means he wins on Sunday, I will gladly look at that helmet for the rest of time.
Yeah, with Charles, it is bizarre, really, that it is sprint weekends all the time. If we had 3 practice sessions, for example, maybe every team finds exactly where the limit of their car is, and we see like Verstappen on pole, then it's maybe like 2 McLarens, 2 Mercedes, 2 Ferraris, whereas that grid is absolutely wild. But back to Ferrari, yeah, it's amazing what they're managing to achieve, particularly in Charles Leclerc's hands in those sprint weekends.
And you know, we've been speaking about Charles Leclerc on pole, but that didn't happen unless Max Verstappen gets his lap time deleted, which he did. He did take provisional pole by 0.005 of a second, and I'm thinking, oh, here we go. Of course, he's on the right side of breaking my heart. And then it got deleted, and unfortunately for him, his 35.0, that banker, as you can call it, was just that. It was right in the mid-pack, P6 for tomorrow. You still think he's probably the favourite, but you also wonder, with the fact it is a sprint weekend, less running, they don't really have a huge amount of data to go on with the long run pace. It's not an absolute foregone conclusion, just purely because, as we've mentioned, they haven't been able to dial in the car potentially as well as they might have. So we don't know what Sunday might bring.
Yeah, I think this is one of those races, you know, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Verstappen has no chance of winning on Sunday, because that's absolutely not the case. This is the thing, like now, the way we're at in the season, and I think we've seen this particularly with McLaren, where we've kind of said that, you know, McLaren, if they get ahead, they can't match them in qualifying, but a lot of the time their race pace isn't actually too bad, and they do all right. So it's going to be fascinating to see those cars finish ahead of Verstappen. You know, Verstappen has to get past Russell. We know Russell will not be afraid to race Max hard, has to get through Sainz. You know, then even if Hamilton takes a while, you know, Norris has got a fantastic chance in P2, and we'll wait to see what happens with the tyre wear. But I don't think it's a slam dunk Verstappen win like maybe we've normally seen in that situation where we go, oh, well, he'd have been on pole easily and win. I think it's going to be fascinating to watch him come through the field, and I think it will be how quickly he gets through that pack and of it on strategy as well, because there's a lot of quick cars at the front. There's a big opportunity for a lot of guys at the front to get a win here.
Certainly is. One driver that perhaps isn't in the hunt for that, and I believe we should talk about it since we're on the topic of Red Bull, is Sergio Perez, P9 in Q3. And this right here, what I'm looking at, the timesheets, is the categorical proof for me that Red Bull are starting to think, do we make a change sooner rather than later? Because as soon as we have a close qualifying session and Max maybe doesn't perform all the time, they're 6th and 9th for Sunday's race.
Yeah, exactly. He's made one mistake.
It's not good enough, is it? He's made one mistake, and Max can't be... You can't rely on Max to be bulletproof the entire rest of his career. And sometimes when Max has a moment like this, like Perez hasn't beaten Max's first time in Q3,
It's mad,
let alone his second. He's starting 9th. He's been beaten by both Alpines, and obviously the rest of the field above from that as well. I don't know. It's just, for me, if the field closed the gap, this is what Red Bull will see week in, week out. I mean, they're seeing it anyway now, and Red Bull have a dominant car. It's not good enough as a driver pairing right now. They aren't seen as the strongest driver pairing, despite having Max Verstappen in the team, having broken the win record.
Yeah, it's pretty shocking that he's got through to Q3, which is insane to think that that's like an achievement in a car that's dominated the World Championship. But it almost feels like a victory for Perez to be like, oh, he's actually made it through. And then to still qualify 9th behind 2 Alpines, that, you know, the straight line speed of that Alpine is extremely poor, and it's not a particularly great car, but I mean, they're going to be buzzing with 7th and 8th, to be fair. But yeah, shocking from Perez.
Next question, Librarian Bert. 3 non-Red Bull teams in the top 3 qualifying positions, with Max in 6th. Most exciting setup for a race this year? I'd say it's up there, but I'm buzzing for this. I cannot wait. Austin's an amazing track. I highly rate it. I think it is slightly underrated when people talk about their most favourite tracks and this, that and the other. I mean, the track is literally taking pieces out of best tracks around the Formula One calendar and gone plonk, there you go. Make of that what you will.
It's the best of album, isn't it?
yeah, and I think it's great. So I cannot wait for Sunday, and hopefully we've got a good sprint tomorrow, because if, as you say again, if Max doesn't get pole for the sprint, we could get a very fascinating and exciting one for that as well.
I really hope that the sprint, doesn't pose that spoiler. So say maybe like
unless Ferrari, unless Ferrari are quick, and I'm happy for that to spoil the rest of my life. That's fine.
Yeah, true. But it is the fact that the intrigue of how quickly can Max get through the field is going to be fascinating. I do think, it's an amazing setup. I'm trying to manage my expectations, because sometimes the hypiest races are the ones that end up under-delivering. But my God, like, you couldn't really ask for much more of a perfect grid, really. Can't wait already for the race. It's weird to think that there's 2 sessions tomorrow to look forward to, but I'm just so hyped for this race now.
And what a beautiful segue, Tom Bellingham, because we will be live on Twitch, Matt P1 Tommy, if you haven't followed us already, for all of those sessions. So make sure you tune in for that. My brain is starting to slow down at 10 past midnight. Words are difficult. And we'll see you very soon tomorrow for sprint day, and then Sunday for an amazing race. See you very soon. Bye.
Bye.